The first thing you learn is not how to cut, it's how to not flinch. A shout, a slap, a wooden blade cracking across your knuckles.
Subscribe to the channel,
You're 5
like and
years
share in the
old,
comments
and
what
your
you know
hands
about these
already
legendary
know two
warriors.
truths.
And now, let's get back
Pain
to the story.
arrives on time. Tears arrive when you let them. So you stop letting them, because you were not born into childhood. You were born into a contract, not written on paper, written on your body. Your family doesn't ask what you want to be when you grow up. That question is for farmers and poets and the lucky people who get to pretend the future is optional. You're a warrior caste, a samurai household, which means your life has a single job: serve, obey, die well, preferably before you become a problem. That is the romance they sell later, but right now you're just a small boy with a bruised wrist and a stomach that clenches whenever your father's shadow touches the doorway. You hold the boken, wooden sword, like it's heavier than you are. Again, your father says, and you swing. Wrong. You swing again, still wrong. Your father doesn't correct you with words. Words are too gentle. Words can be debated. Words can be forgotten. Pain can't. You learn to fear the pause before impact. You learn that silence is not calm. Silence is the moment right before a storm chooses where to land. And slowly, day by day, your body begins to move the way the clan needs it to move. Not like a child, like a tool. You don't remember the first time you see a real blade. You remember the sound, a soft hiss when it leaves the scabbard, like something alive exhaling. Adults talk about swords the way priests talk about sacred objects. But you notice something else. A sword is not holy. A sword is hungry. It doesn't care about honor. It doesn't care about stories. It just wants to be used. You watch your older cousin kneel in the yard as an instructor taps the flat of the blade against his shoulder, measuring posture, measuring breath, measuring obedience. Your cousin is 12. He's trembling so hard his teeth click. He's trying not to. You understand why. In your world, the worst thing you can be is soft. Soft as a crack, soft is weakness, soft is how your enemies enter you. So you grow a shell around your feelings, like armor grown from the inside, not because you're brave, because you're trapped.
By the time you are 10, you've already learned the most important skill of a samurai: how to look confident while you're terrified. You practice walking with your spine straight, chin level, eyes forward. Inside, your heart is a small animal scrambling in a cage. Outside, you are the cage. You run drills until your lungs burn. You practice archery until your shoulders ache. You kneel until your legs go numb, because stillness is a weapon too, and the clan demands you carry it without complaint. Food is rice, rice, rice. Rice in bowls, rice in sacks, rice in the conversations of men who decide your future. Because rice is not just food. Rice is salary. Rice is taxes. Rice is power. Your worth will be measured in koku, how much rice a land can produce. Men will kill for it. Men will betray for it. Men will kneel for it with perfect posture and smiling faces. And you, still a boy, begin to see the world as your elders see it, a board game made of blood, where the pieces are people. Then comes the day they cut your childhood away. Genpuku, your coming-of-age ceremony. You stand under morning light while an elder shaves the front of your head. The razor is cold. The air bites your skin. It looks ugly. You know it looks ugly. but no one cares. This is practicality dressed as tradition. A helmet grips better on a shaved scalp. Battle doesn't reward beauty. Battle rewards what works. You receive a new name, a new set of clothes, a new identity that fits like a mask, and it is a mask, because your first adult lesson is this: you will be watched, always. Your clan watches you for weakness. Your lord watches you for loyalty. Your rivals watch you for a mistake. Even the peasants watch you quietly from under their brows because they know you can end their life with a single bad mood. And yes, you have that right. Kiri sutte gomen, cut and leave. If a commoner insults you, you may kill him on the spot. It sounds powerful. It sounds like control, but there's a detail they don't put in songs. After you do it, you'll have to write reports. You'll have to justify yourself. You'll have to prove the insult was real. Even violence has paperwork. Welcome to adulthood.
By the time you are 10, you've already learned the most important skill of a samurai: how to look confident while you're terrified. You practice walking with your spine straight, chin level, eyes forward. Inside, your heart is a small animal scrambling in a cage. Outside, you are the cage. You run drills until your lungs burn. You practice archery until your shoulders ache. You kneel until your legs go numb, because stillness is a weapon too, and the clan demands you carry it without complaint. Food is rice, rice, rice. Rice in bowls, rice in sacks, rice in the conversations of men who decide your future. Because rice is not just food. Rice is salary. Rice is taxes. Rice is power. Your worth will be measured in koku, how much rice a land can produce. Men will kill for it. Men will betray for it. Men will kneel for it with perfect posture and smiling faces. And you, still a boy, begin to see the world as your elders see it, a board game made of blood, where the pieces are people. Then comes the day they cut your childhood away. Genpuku, your coming-of-age ceremony. You stand under morning light while an elder shaves the front of your head. The razor is cold. The air bites your skin. It looks ugly. You know it looks ugly. But no one cares. This is practicality dressed as tradition. A helmet grips better on a shaved scalp. Battle doesn't reward beauty. Battle rewards what works. You receive a new name, a new set of clothes, a new identity that fits like a mask, and it is a mask, because your first adult lesson is this: you will be watched, always. Your clan watches you for weakness. Your lord watches you for loyalty. Your rivals watch you for a mistake. Even the peasants watch you quietly from under their brows because they know you can end their life with a single bad mood. And yes, you have that right. Kiri sutte gomen, cut and leave. If a commoner insults you, you may kill him on the spot. It sounds powerful. It sounds like control, but there's a detail they don't put in songs. After you do it, you'll have to write reports. You'll have to justify yourself. You'll have to prove the insult was real. Even violence has paperwork. Welcome to adulthood. Now you begin to understand the biggest lie outsiders will believe about you. They will think the katana is everything. They will imagine you as a walking sword. But in your era, the katana is not your main weapon. It's your last argument, your backup, your symbol. Your real weapon is the bow, the yumi,
tall, asymmetrical, taller than most men. You are trained to kill from distance because distance is safety, and safety means you live long enough to serve again. A samurai is, first, a mounted archer. You ride with your legs tight against a nervous horse, your fingers steady on the string, your face calm while your stomach turns. You practice shooting while moving because still targets are for festivals. In war, everything moves, everything screams, everything bleeds. And when arrows run out, you reach for the yari, spear, because physics doesn't care about poetry. A long weapon beats a short weapon. Reach beats romance. The sword becomes important when the world collapses into arm's length, when men are so close you can smell yesterday's fear on their breath. That's when stories begin. That's when reality begins too. Your armor arrives like a promise and a punishment. Lacquered plates laced with cords, a work of art that weighs like regret. 20 kilos, more. In summer you cook inside it, sweat pooling under your ribs, your vision narrowing under the heat. Your kabuto helmet sits heavy, and some men attach horns or crests so ridiculous you almost laugh. Then you remember why they do it. Status, visibility, a message to the enemy. Look at me, I am important, kill me if you can. Your menpo mask, demon face, mustache, teeth, hides your expression. It hides your fear. It protects your mouth from blades, yes, but the real purpose is psychological. A samurai is not allowed to look human in the moment he kills, so you become a monster on purpose. War comes not like thunder, but like hunger. A neighbor clan disputes a border. A lord needs prestige. A political marriage fails. An ambitious man wants more rice fields, more followers, more name. The reason doesn't matter. The result always does. You march, not galloping like the paintings, walking, because horses are for battle, not roads. And the roads are mud, and the rain turns them into rivers, and your feet blister under straw sandals that wear out faster than patience. You carry more than weapons. You carry spare sandals, rice, rope for prisoners, a tiny kit for wounds you pretend won't happen to you. You reach camp and discover what war smells like, not glory. War smells like thousands of unwashed bodies, smoke, wet straw, horse dung, and soup that tastes of desperation. Your house is a thin cloth tent. Men snore, men cough, men whisper prayers like bribes to the universe. Before battle, you do something strange. You perfume your helmet. Incense. Because if you die, the enemy will take your head, and etiquette says your head should not stink. This is the world you live in. Even death has manners.
Battle does not begin with a duel. That is another lie. Real battle begins with chaos arranged into formation. A wall of shields, a forest of spears, a rain of arrows. Ashigaru, foot soldiers, often peasants pressed into service, stand in rows like wheat. They are cheap. They are many. You are not. Your armor is expensive. Your training takes years. Your clan invests in you like a blade forged from rare steel. So you stand where your lord wants you, often not at the front, but where you can survive long enough to be useful. Arrows hiss. They punch through cheap armor like paper. Your own plates shudder with impact, but hold, for now. Then the lines collide, spears break, bodies crash, and suddenly all the elegant forms you practiced in the yard are irrelevant because war is not an art, it's a stampede.
You stab, not with flourish, with efficiency. You aim for the face, the gaps, the places where armor is honest enough to admit it can't cover everything. An enemy reaches you, too close for spear. You grapple. This is not cinematic swordplay. It is wrestling in metal. You twist joints, you shove, you hook a leg, you throw a man down and feel the earth shake as his armor hits mud. He wheezes, he tries to crawl. You draw a short blade, tanto, and push it into the narrow space where helmet meets throat. You don't think about it as murder. If you do, your mind will break. You think about it as a task you must complete. Work. Then comes the part no heroic poem lingers on. You take the head, because the head is proof. The head is payment. No head, no reward. Your hands slip. Blood makes everything slick. Cutting through spine is harder than you want it to be. Your stomach threatens to revolt. You breathe through your nose and keep going. When it's done, you tie a tag to the trophy with your name, because your own comrades might steal it. War is full of loyalty until money enters the tent. After battle, there is a ceremony, the inspection of heads. Yes, really. You wash the face, you comb hair like you're preparing someone for a wedding instead of a counting table. Generals sit, stern and bored, as if reviewing paperwork. They glance at your trophy and decide your fate in seconds. The common soldier, the officer says, dismissive. Your heart drops. You wanted land, you wanted status, you wanted your suffering to purchase a better life. Instead, you receive a compliment and a small reward. It feels worse than being punished, because it means you did everything right and still didn't matter. That night, peasants creep onto the battlefield, not to fight, to harvest. They strip armor, they search pockets, they finish off the wounded if needed. For them, war is not honor, war is opportunity, a season. And you realize something ugly. You and the peasant are closer than you pretend. You both survive, you just wear different uniforms while doing it.
Between battles, your life becomes a strangling contradiction. On one day you butcher men in mud. On the next, you meal in a tea room for an hour, unmoving, because politics is fought with whispers. Your legs cramp, your back screams, you cannot shift. The tea room has no weapons. It's the most dangerous place you will ever sit. Here clans rise and fall with smiles. Here a quiet sentence can start a war faster than any arrow. You learn to read faces, to listen more than you speak, to hide your thoughts behind a calm mask, because a samurai's real battlefield is often not the field at all, it's the mind. And then there are the shadows. You hear stories about ninja like they're ghosts in black pajamas. You want to believe that. It would be easier, but the truth is worse. A spy does not look like a spy. A spy looks like a gardener, a monk, a beggar coughing in the corner. A spy listens while you talk too freely. A spy burns your rice storehouse at night, and hunger kills armies more efficiently than blades. You start to distrust silence again, but now for a different reason. Silence means someone is listening. You walk at night and imagine eyes in the dark. You use the latrine and think about the humiliating ways a great warrior can die. It is not always glorious. Sometimes it's just stupid. And fear, once swallowed, becomes poison. So you learn another survival skill, Zen.
Not because it's trendy, because it's medicine. You sit, you breathe, you try to empty the mind that keeps replaying screams and faces and the wet sound of work. You write a short poem, maybe a haiku, because the clan expects you to be both killer and cultured. A warrior who cannot write is a barbarian with a paycheck. You stare at cherry blossoms and force yourself to see beauty, because if you don't, if the world becomes only blood, then you'll never come back. Then one day your lord dies, or is betrayed, or loses, or chooses the wrong side, and your identity collapses like a roof in fire. Now you are Ronin, wave man, a warrior without a shore. People fear you and despise you because loyalty is admired until it becomes inconvenient. Freedom sounds romantic until you realize freedom doesn't feed you. Your stomach becomes your new master. You do jobs that would have shamed your father, guarding caravans, collecting debts, teaching children, making umbrellas, anything for rice. Your sword, the symbol of honor, becomes a tool for rent, and each time you draw it for money, something inside you hardens, not into steel, into emptiness. Then the world cracks open. 1543. Foreigners arrive, Portuguese traders, smelling of sea and strange cloth, and a confidence that feels like an insult. They bring a weapon, a thunderstick, an arquebus. It is ugly, it is loud, it is slow. Samurai laugh. A weapon that needs smoke and fire, that can fail in rain, that doesn't require a lifetime of discipline? It feels like cheating. But your lords don't care about feelings, they care about winning. They buy 2 guns, they hand them to smiths, they say, "Copy this." And Japan does what Japan does, it learns fast. Soon there are thousands. You fire one, the recoil punches your shoulder like an angry spirit. Smoke bites your eyes, the sound steals the breath from your chest. No elegance, just death. And that's the point. A bow takes years, a gun takes days. Armies swell, war becomes cheaper, war becomes industrial. The old idea of the samurai, duels, personal skill, heroic death, starts to rot, not from weakness, from math. 1575. Nagashino. You watch a man rewrite warfare with wooden fences. Oda Nobunaga, ruthless, brilliant, disrespectful of tradition, sets up palisades and lines of gunners. The Takeda cavalry charges like a legend. They believe speed and bravery will erase any defense. They are wrong. 3 lines. One fires, one reloads, one prepares. A machine made of humans. Lead storms out in waves. Horses scream. Great swordsmen fall without ever touching an enemy. The distance between hero and corpse becomes 50 meters. You look at a dead commander in armor worth more than a village. A tiny hole in lacquer, a cheap bullet, and you understand the new law. Honor does not stop physics. Toyotomi Hideyoshi rises, once a peasant, now a ruler, and proves the world is changing. He hunts swords from farmers. He takes weapons away from the lower classes, so rebellion becomes impossible. It's called order. It's also fear. Then he looks outward. He dreams of conquering China. First, Korea. You sail, and you discover the truth. Samurai are land predators forced onto water. You vomit over rails. Salt eats metal.
Horses break legs in cramped holds. Armor rusts like your confidence. Across the sea waits another nightmare. Admiral Yi Sun Sin. Turtle ships, iron roofs, spikes, cannons. Your bullets do nothing. Taking heads across water is impractical, so trophies change. Noses, ears, salted in barrels. War becomes grotesque accounting again, just with different receipts. You loot not just gold, but craftsmen, potters, because a perfect tea bowl is worth more than a soldier's life in Kyoto. You return home older, emptier, and quietly furious that so many died for so little. Then Hideyoshi dies, and the nation snarls. 1600, Sekigahara. Mist covers the valley. You hear thousands of feet, but you cannot see who they belong to. Friend? Enemy? Sometimes the difference is decided by a single man on a hill, someone who waits to see who will win before choosing a side. Betrayal isn't rare, it's strategy. When the betrayal comes, the battle collapses. Men die confused. Flags change mid-fight. You swing your weapon and wonder if the man beside you will still be beside you in 5 minutes. Tokugawa Ieyasu wins. He becomes shogun, and suddenly the age of constant war begins to freeze. Peace arrives, and for a samurai, peace is complicated, because peace means you don't get to do the one thing you were made for.
The Edo period begins, and the sword moves from battlefield to belt. You still wear 2 blades, daisho, but you use them less. You become a bureaucrat, a manager of rice, a collector of taxes, a man whose enemy is not another warrior, but a ledger. Your lord forces rival daimyo to spend alternate years in Edo, Sankin Kotai, so they can't rebel. Their families stay as hostages. Politics becomes a cage built out of etiquette. You discover the most humiliating truth of all. Merchants, people below you in the social order, start to get richer than you. Your salary is paid in rice, fixed. Prices rise, debt grows. You pawn ancestral swords to buy dinner. And you tell yourself it's not shame, it's survival. It always becomes survival. You seek stimulation where you can find it. The pleasure district, kabuki theater, geisha houses. Not because you're only lust and boredom, though you are both, but because you need to feel alive. A geisha sells art, conversation, illusion. She makes you forget for an hour that your purpose has been taken away. Firefighting becomes a new battlefield for adrenaline-hungry men. So do gambling rings, so do criminal groups that will later be called yakuza, people who borrow the language of honor to dress up hunger. Meanwhile, the government seals the country, sakoku. No one enters, no one leaves. The world changes outside your walls, and Japan sleeps. Someone writes books about the way of the warrior during a time when warriors are mostly writing memos. The code becomes cleaner in peace, because peace edits out the mud. Then the sea returns with a black shadow. 1853. American black ships, steam demons, cannons that can kill you from distances your grandfathers wouldn't believe. Your matchlock rifle feels like a toy. Your sword feels like a prayer. The shogunate signs treaties. Foreigners walk your streets. Pride burns. Young samurai chant, "Revere the emperor, expel the barbarians."
And some decide the fastest way to expel barbarians is to start slicing. Assassins appear, hitokiri, man-cutters. They kill officials in daylight. They vanish into crowds. The shogunate forms a counterforce, shinsengumi, men with strict rules and sharper blades, policing Kyoto like wolves in uniform. They kill enemies. They kill their own for disobedience. Discipline becomes a religion again, because when the world is unstable, people cling to rituals like ropes. But the rope is fraying.
Then comes the final insult. Machines, Gatling guns, Armstrong cannons. The Boshin War begins. You watch traditional armies crumble under modern fire. Castles, wood and pride explode into splinters. Loyal clans choose death over surrender. Teenage units march out and die believing they are heroes, because sometimes tragedy begins with a misunderstanding and ends with a funeral. Holdouts flee north. They build a last stand on Hokkaido. They call it a republic, but it's just another fortress waiting to be crushed. A man rides into gunfire because he'd rather die attacking than live adapting. That is the core of your era's psychology. The future is terrifying. Death is familiar. Then the government wins, and instead of letting you die dramatically, it does something worse. It makes you live. 1871, haircut order. Top knots are cut. Your face in the mirror looks wrong, like someone stole your identity while you slept. 1876, sword ban. No more carrying blades in public. Your soul, your symbol, is illegal. People tell you it's progress. It feels like amputation. Some rebel. Satsuma, Shiroyama, 500 samurai against thousands with rifles and artillery. It isn't a battle, it's disposal. Steel meets bullets and loses. The last warriors fall, and with them a mythology is born. Because when something dies, people polish its bones into legend. So where do you go? Some samurai become police, beating people with sticks legally, because the instinct to control doesn't vanish, it just changes tools. Some become teachers. Some become bureaucrats in a new government. Some become businessmen, founding companies, building ships, trading steel. There's more money in industry than in blood. Your daughters work in factories, 14 hours a day, powering modernization with exhausted hands. Japan grows teeth. Japan fights China. Japan fights Russia. Japan declares itself modern. And later, men write books for foreigners, explaining Bushido, smoothing out the ugly parts, packaging the past for export. Then war comes again, in a new century, and the samurai spirit is used as propaganda. Kamikaze pilots die for an empire, not a clan. The old language is recycled for new machines. Honor becomes a slogan, and slogans are cheaper than rice.
Today, you might be a salaryman, an office warrior. Your lord is a boss. Your battlefield is a meeting room. Your armor is a suit. Your sword is a commuter bag with a laptop inside. And still, somewhere deep, something remains. Not the romance, not the cherry blossoms, not the clean code of honor. The real thing, the quiet, dangerous truth you learned as a child with bruised hands. You can train a person into a weapon. You can polish a weapon into a symbol. You can turn a symbol into a myth, and a myth, no matter how beautiful, will always hide the mud it came from. So when people ask, were the samurai honorable, You smile, because you know the answer is complicated. You were honorable sometimes, you were brutal sometimes. You were loyal until survival demanded politics. You were a poet and you were a butcher. You were a soldier in a world that changed faster than your traditions could breathe. And in the end, history doesn't remember your sweat, it remembers your silhouette. A man with two swords against a red sunset. Clean, sharp, impossible. Just like every legend. And maybe that's what people really want. Not the truth, a story. One that makes them feel something. One that lets them pretend they could have survived it. One that lets them believe a blade can carry a soul. But you know better, because you lived it. And it was never just the sword. It was the hunger, the fear, the obedience, the math, the smoke, the paperwork, the silence, the way your heart learned to stop flinching. You were a samurai, and that was your whole life.